All right, this is it. My name's Jeff K., and you're listening to episode 508 of the world-famous West Virginia Surf Report podcast.
Hello, world.
Yesterday was beautiful, sunny, warm, hot, almost hot. It was in the 80s. It wasn't hot, but it was warm, and it was sunny, and the sky was a vibrant blue, fluffy clouds. Beautiful, perfect. We went and had lunch at Chipotle, and then we went out to this brewery, which is right outside of the town we live in. Out in kind of a rural setting, so there's a lot of open land out there. Very pretty, very pretty. And they have a patio. It's called Last Minute Brewing. And we had 1.5 beers each. We both had one, and then we went back, and then we shared a third one. And we sat outside on the patio. There's a bunch of other people out there. It was fun. It was good times. There was this group of guys that were there, and they were like, you could tell they're half in the bag already. There was a whole bunch of them. Maybe like 8 of them, something like, maybe 10, I don't know. 8 or 10 guys, all probably late 20s. And they seemed like they'd been drinking, you know. And this was like, I don't know, 3:30 in the afternoon or something like that. And but they weren't being obnoxious or anything. They were just, there's telltale signs. Right, and we overheard, and we heard one guy goes, dude, this is like our 5th brewery today. What do you expect? You know, I don't know what they're talking about, but they said, I heard them say, this is our 5th brewery today. And Tony was like, wonder what this is. Wonder what the story is. Think it's some kind of bachelor party type thing. I was like, I don't know. Hope we're not driving. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of them, and so anyway, so they weren't being too obnoxious or anything. They were just when you drink, you talk louder and stuff like that. They weren't being shitty. But it was just a beautiful day. It was sunny. It felt great. Get the sun on your skin. Have a couple IPAs. Fantastic. All right, so we leave, and there's a big old limo, it's from a limo service. It's like a big bus type thing, like a short bus, but it's painted black, and it's like from some limo company. Tony's like, are you the one? We walked, he was parked right beside us, and Tony said, you driving those guys around to all these breweries? He goes, yep, we've been to 5, 2 more to go. I said, all right. So I don't know. That'd be cool. How cool would that be? 7 breweries, and you got a limo service driving you around. Anyway, so yesterday was beautiful. I mean, just fantastic. Today it was snowing, and it's cold. I mean, it is cold. We had to turn the heat back on. We had to crank up the furnace. Like, what is going on? I mean, it's like the pendulum just swings back and forth. We have a 1-day summer, 1-day spring. Anyway, it's cold, and it was snowing. And I'm not talking about a little sprinkles here and there. I'm not talking like flurries. It was pounding down the snow, like in December. Like, what the hell's going on? Anyway, so that sucks. I don't know what's going on, but it's back to cold. But at least we had yesterday to enjoy. I do have, before we get into the main topic, I do have a couple of follow-ups from last time. In the last episode, which was a Patreon episode, talked about how I was going to go get blood work and for an upcoming doctor's appointment. I did that, and I went on Thursday morning. I Came home from work and didn't eat anything. I didn't eat anything after 6 o'clock. Went straight to bed and got up and went and got the blood work done. And later that day, as I predicted, I started getting the results. They started coming in fast and furious. I have this My Chart app, So I started getting it, and it was good. I mean, the results are good again. Tony's like, how? How's that possible? How in the hell? Every time it happens, she gets irritated. Like, you eat like a dozen hot dogs a week. I said, hey, hot dogs are good. So hot dogs are good for you, Those things are like full of vitamins and nutrients. And, and then, so I don't know. I got a doctor's appointment next Wednesday, and I've already seen the results to the blood work, and I was happy. I was relieved, because you know how I am. How I'm a worrier. I thought for sure it was going to come back, and it's all going to be, the numbers are going to be all out of whack. It's going to lead to surgeries and tests and procedures. But anyway, it looks like everything's going to be good, unless I'm misinterpreting. I mean, it's pretty dumbed down. Has a chart. If you fall in the green, you're good. Outside the green, yeah, maybe there's an issue. The only one that was outside the green was something to do with platelets, and every single time I've gone, it's been just slightly outside the green. Because you can go back and you can hit the trend button, and it shows like the last, I think it's like the 4th time it's that I've gotten blood work through this app. So it shows that every one of them's almost exactly the same, and it was never an issue before. So I'm not too concerned about that. Something about the size of the platelets in my blood. I don't know what the shit. I don't know nothing about no platelets. But anyway. So that's that. That was pretty good. Had to urinate into a cup. And I was able to do that without any problems. I've had issues with that before. Couldn't conjure. But I was all right. I did all right with that. So I think everything's good. Man, oh man. I also told you about our lawn guy. He sent Tony some weird text the other day. And he's like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do your lawn this year because I'm getting a divorce. My wife like destroyed my tractor, my mower, my truck, all this stuff. Now, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be able to. I think I'm done for the week. I can't even deliver pizzas. I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, I can't work. I'm unable to work. I think the guy was like hinting that we'd give me money or something. He goes, if I had a little bit of money, I could get this tractor running, It's like, I think you're barking up the wrong tree here, buddy. I'll give you money. We'll give you money for services rendered. I'm not giving you any kind of like bounce back money. Is that wrong? Anyway, I don't even know this guy. I couldn't pick him out of a lineup. But, so then, okay, I told you that story in the Patreon episode. And then the next day, Saturday, the beautiful day with the big white fluffy clouds, he sends a message to Tony again and says, I can come over today and mow if you want. Like, what the hell? Like, what happened in 24 hours? I thought all your shit was destroyed. I thought your wife had destroyed everything. Like, whatever. I said, I don't know, whatever. If he can mow, let him mow. Because we're going to have to search for a new lawn guy. I'm not mowing it. Are you serious? There's no freaking way. That ship has sailed. All right. So he came and mowed. We saw him briefly on our way out. Paid him. He goes, I'm going to have to raise my prices this year, unfortunately, because of the price of gas and all that. Like, okay, how much? He goes, just $5. I said, okay, that's cool. We can handle it. Yeah, that's fine. So we paid him. He goes, I got my worked on my tractor all day yesterday. Got it running again. So I said, all right, good. So he did a fantastic. When we got back from that brewery, he was long gone by then. It was like did a fantastic job. The yard looked fantastic. So we don't have to worry about that, I guess. And unless she sabotage, unless something else happens, I think we're okay. What a bizarre thing. He sends us this long text saying all this stuff. And then the very next day, everything's back to normal. Like, I don't know what the hell. Anyway. So I was talking to my brother the other day about when we lived together in Greensboro. We were the most irresponsible. That's the word I'm looking for. We were the most irresponsible, people in the state of North Carolina, I believe, for that period of time. That might be a slight exaggeration, but it was ridiculous. I'll briefly tell you. I told you this story. I won't go into great detail, but I was like, I don't know, pushing 23. I was 22, almost 23. I dropped out of college twice. My girlfriend at the time, her name was Kelly. She was getting ready to graduate from college, be a school teacher. I had nothing going on. I was working at a convenience store for minimum wage, working overnight. I was adrift. I had no idea what I was going to do. I mean, I had nothing going on. I was still living with my parents. And, I was panicking. She was getting ready to start her life, and I was still like a child. I mean, I had nothing going on. I couldn't get it together, And then one night at the store, some guy shoved a gun in my face. Comes in there and puts a gun in my face, and he's like drunk, and his hands are shaking. I was like, that's enough. That's enough. I'm done. These guys, these guys that worked at that store, or one of them said, I'm going to go down to North Carolina. My mom lives in North Carolina in Greensboro, and I'm going to go down there and see if I can find a job. This place sucks, all that stuff. He said that, it just in passing. And I went and talked to him and said, hey, are you serious about going down to North Carolina? He was, yeah, I'm going to do it someday. I said, let's do it. I said, I'll go with you. You want me to go? I'll go with you. He goes, yeah, you want to? So the next thing you know, there's 4 of us going. So all of us worked at the store. We all went down there. And I won't go into the details, but two out of 4 were hardened rednecks, criminals, basically criminals. And 2 of us were, a little bit better than that. And so we went down there, and the 2 that was me and this guy named Gary. He and I got jobs at Food Lion, which is a grocery store chain. Different stores, though. We weren't at the same store, but it paid pretty well compared to what we were making. It was like double what we were making, And we thought, let's do it. Let's do this thing, And we got an apartment together. We got a 2-bedroom apartment together, and we moved to North Carolina. And I had my girlfriend back. I left. I mean, we were still together. We didn't break up or anything. I just said, I'm moving to North Carolina. She was like, what? Why? What are you talking about? I said, I got to do something. I said, nothing's happening for me here. I'm going to, maybe a change of scenery. That's a classic. You take your problems with you. Wherever you are, there. What's that phrase? Wherever you go, there you are. Or whatever it is. I just know. But anyway, I moved to North Carolina with this guy. We got an apartment together named Gary. He was all right. He's fine. We didn't know each other all that well, so we kept the place pretty relatively neat. And we had some laughs. I mean, we worked all the time. So we weren't in the apartment much. Slept there basically. But he was all right. I had no issue with him. He was a pretty good guy. He died young. He died, I think, in his 40s from a asthma attack. Maybe he was in his 30s. I don't know. He died several years after I knew. I mean, after we weren't. I'll get to that. But so anyway, we were sharing an apartment. Everything was good. Except he was like homesick. He was like walking around sighing on his days off. He was just like walking around sighing like a caged animal. He had a girlfriend back home too, and he was like, I can't do this. I just miss her too much. I was like, I don't know about that. I said, yeah, it'd be all right. I don't know. It was a telltale sign that I wasn't missing my girlfriend. I don't know, nothing against her, but it wasn't that hard for me. I wasn't having as difficult a time as he was. So every time he had like 2 days off in a row or something, he'd go flying back to Dunbar. Well, he lived in South Charleston, but he'd back home to West Virginia, and he'd go see his girlfriend. One time he comes back with his girlfriend, says, we're married, we're living here. She's living with us. I'm like, what the? So now it's like a married couple and me. And I was the one that started this whole thing, So I was like, all right, well, as soon as this lease is up, I'm going to get a 1-bedroom because I don't feel comfortable. So that's what I did. I got a 1-bedroom, and I lived by myself. And that's when I had to get a second job. That's when I started working at Peaches on the weekends. I was working at Stupid Food Lion Monday through Friday, and then I worked at Peaches on Saturday and Sunday. And that's I was exhausted all the time. Sucked so bad. So then I don't know how long that lasted. So Gary, they're married. They moved into a better apartment complex down the road. It was more fancy. And they were a good guy. I liked his wife too. Everything was fine. And then that's where we kind of lost track of each other, And then I heard years later that he passed away. That sucks. They had kids, that's terrible. But anyway, so I was living by myself. It was in my second apartment in that apartment complex called Sedgefield Gardens, Greensboro. It was my second one. And then my brother calls me or something. He says, I'm thinking about coming down there. Do you mind if I live with you? I said, I got a 1-bedroom. I said, I'll see if we can get another 2-bedroom. So it's my third apartment in that same complex. So he moved in, and that's where things came off the rails. I think we kept things under control when it was me and Gary because we didn't know each other. Me and my brother know each other very well, and the place was a wreck. I mean, it just I don't know where we got the furniture. There was sparse furniture in there. I think we had like a 19-inch TV. There's like beanbag chairs. There's like this big old couch. It was like so long. It was like a bus station bench. It's like the length of you could lay down on that thing, and there's still like 2 feet, 3 feet go, beyond my. I'm 6 foot, and I got to lay down on that thing, and there's like massive space. It's like real long, and the thing smelled weird. I don't know, where did it come from? I have no idea. Where we got that. There was like almost no furniture in there. I mean, the bedrooms basically I just moved my bedroom from Dunbar down there. There's a bed, and I had my stereo and stuff in there, and all. It was pretty well. The rest of the apartment was like, it was a classic first apartment. There's like nothing in there. So we started living together. He got a job at Rite Aid. He was working at Rite Aid in West Virginia, and he was transferred. I think he was like a store manager or something. And I don't know what he was at that point, but he was working at Rite Aid, and we just drank beer all the time. The place was a mess, just a ransacked mess. I mean, the kitchen was atrocious, just dirty dishes piled up, and the sink just filled with shit, The trash can in the kitchen had like crap balanced. It was like 3 feet above the rim. Stuff's just balanced on there. There's just stuff everywhere. There's pizza boxes. I remember my friend Cam from Peaches came over there. It was him and another guy. It was two people from Peaches, but Cam was one of them. It might have been Cam and David Iverson, or it might have been Cam and Eugene. I'm not sure. But they came unannounced, knocked on the door. They come in there. The place is it's like something I don't even know how to describe it. It was like totally trashed. And there's like this pizza box sitting over there with some kind of petrified. There's like one slice of pizza in the box, and it's all petrified and curled up on the end like a court jester's shoe. You know what I mean? And Cam goes, "Oh man, look at that za!" I don't know. I remember that. And the place was trashed. I mean, we lived in squalor. And in the kitchen, I mean, it was a mess. I mean, we used to eat the worst. We'd go to the Kroger grocery store and buy these 59-cent box deluxe frozen pizzas. Do you know what I'm talking about? Things are like, I mean, they literally taste like cardboard. And we'd buy like a stack of them, like just buy a stack of Fox Deluxe and like a 12-pack of beer, and the cashier would be like snickering, like, I don't need judgment. These Fox Deluxes are underrated. They're very good for you. But so I used to eat trash. Sometimes I'd eat. I remember one time I just had like I made a plate of pasta, like spaghetti, and just dumped like a can of pork and beans on top of it. I didn't have any like marinara. I didn't have any like spaghetti sauce. So I just like dumped beans on spaghetti and had that for dinner. It was just a disaster. I mean, it was just like the worst. And one time there was something in there in the kitchen. There was something in the kitchen, and I don't know, over a period of time, it started to funk, you know, and it was a terrible gut wrenching stench coming out of something we could never get to the bottom of it, but it was unbelievable, like something I'd never smelled before, and it felt like all of our Tupperware, all the Tupperware that we owned, it felt like it was like tainted by that smell. I don't know if it was in our head or what, but it smelled like you couldn't get away from it. Like we cleaned up, we were like, "Oh my God, we got to do something. We got to get this funk out of here." And we actually worked together on it. It took us like a couple of hours, because it was so bad, and we couldn't get to the source of the funk. We could not. It felt like all of our plastics were tainted by that stench. It was like I don't know what happened. How could it all be stenched up? I mean, that thing was ridiculous. I think I have pictures. There might be some black and white photographs that I've taken. I'd like to be able to find those. I don't know where they are. But of the trash can, it's like stacked 3 feet above the rim. It's like using the wall to just, everything's just balanced. If you walk past there, it's like it would just, collapse, And we was like, I don't know. There it is. It's like all over the floor. The place is just a disaster. I mean, just an atrocious mess. I mean, I kept my bedroom relatively neat because I'm not super I don't like living like that. So I kept my little space, my little bedroom. I kept that relatively neat, but the rest of the place was a mess. I don't remember I felt the bathroom. I think we kept that relatively good. The kitchen was a mess. The dining room had shit stacked everywhere. There's like empty boxes everywhere. The living room it was just trashed. We were sitting in beanbag chairs, watch our 19-inch TV. It was horrible. And I've told the story about one day we were having lunch. Oh, wait a minute! Before I get to that, we also would not pay our bills. on a consistent basis. You might find that hard to believe. We barely had enough money. Well, with the beer that was being consumed, it cut into our. I mean, the beer was cutting into our paying our bills money. It wasn't the other way around. It wasn't the bills were cutting into our beer money. It was the beer was cutting into our bills money. You know what I mean? So we would pay it, at the last second. We had stuff cut off. We had the power turned off a couple times because we didn't pay our electric bill. One time it was like in the middle of summer. It was like 100 degrees. It was like miserable. And I was like, we can't stay here. So we ended up going to a hotel. If we'd have just paid the bill, it would have probably cost the same as the hotel. So we went to a hotel, and so we could have air conditioning. You know what I mean? And then we had to go to Duke Power and pay the bill in person. I had to go do that all the time. It was one of those things where if you don't pay this today, we're turning off your power. So I was always going. I knew that place like the back of my hand. Go into Duke Power in downtown Greensboro. Go up this rickety old. Place was like from the 1930s or something. There's like Art Deco in there, and go up there and pay some woman, and she was like judgy. Felt like she was judging. All right, whatever. So we had with the power be turned off. We got our telephone turned off. They were. I think we had one of those. It was back when they used to, 10 cents a minute. Like long distance before cell phones, obviously, and long distance was had all these companies competing for your business. I think we had Sprint. I believe we had Sprint, and we never paid it. And they turned it off eventually. And we kept trying to drag it out. We'd say we're not receiving bills in the mail. So how are we supposed to pay this thing? Could you send us an itemized list? And we're just trying to drag it out as much as we can. So they sent us an itemized list of the calls that had not been paid for. And the thing was, they had to send it in a box. It was so thick. It was like on that dot matrix paper. Like it was all connected together. So we were drinking and laughing and stuff. We had the thing stretched all the way, opened it up all the way, and it stretched from the front of the living room all the way down the hall into my brother's bedroom. Like it was so long. This itemized list. And we thought that shit was hilarious. We were just yucking it up. But they ended up turning it off. We couldn't turn it back on. We owed them so much money. So we went for like a year. We didn't have a phone. This is before cell phones, too. So my parents couldn't reach us. They had to call us at our work. They had to call us at work. And if I needed something, I had to go to a payphone. It was ridiculous. We're just like the most irresponsible dumbasses. And also, we have a credit card, One of us had a credit card, or both of us did. And that thing was always maxed. It was like all the way up to the limit, beyond the limit. And this is back when you'd go in somewhere, they'd look up your number in a book, right? And it was a book that had like the bad people. Don't take any credit cards from these people, And we weren't in the book for that month, so they put a dot. There's a store that we used to buy beer from, and they'd check it, and they'd put a dot, like a little sticker on your credit card, and it would mean they didn't have to check it for the rest of that month, So they wouldn't check it again. If next time you went in there, they wouldn't recheck it because it takes time, So we'd get that dot, and we'd be like, hell yeah, woo, woo, woo. We got 26 more days. They wouldn't even it didn't have to get approved or anything. So back in the days when they had where you put it in that machine and go cha-chunk, be like, hell yeah, 24 days. This dot is going to provide us 24 days of beer purchases, So ridiculous, so ridiculous. So one day, I've told this story before, it's a classic. We were having lunch, hot dogs, I think. And as I remember it, the apartment was clean at that point, you know. We went through periods. It wasn't 100% terrible, but we'd go through, several months in a row where we didn't do it. Everything was just trashed. I don't know why. But anyway, so we were having lunch. We were having hot dogs. My brother is going to put ketchup on his hot dogs. And he couldn't get it. He couldn't get it to come out. It was like before. I don't think this is before squeeze bottles. This is like glass bottles. He couldn't get it to come out. It's like he's like, hitting the bottom of the thing. It wouldn't budge. So he stands up in the middle of the kind of between the dining room and the living room, and he holds the thing upside down, so the top of the bottle is facing the floor. He's holding the bottom part of it, and he starts spinning his arm round and round, like trying to create centrifugal force, trying to drive all the ketchup into the neck so that he can get it on the hot dog easier. So he's spinning his arm round and round, spinning round and round and round, and then the cap flew off. And he flung ketchup all like across the carpet, up one wall, all the way across the ceiling, down. I was like, "Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!" And it took him like a couple of he was going so fast. It took him like a couple of rotations to get the flywheel powered down. And the thing was like a stripes of ketchup all across everything, up the wall, across the ceiling, down the other wall, across the couch, that stinky giant couch. That thing had a couple stripes across it too, across the carpet. I was like, what the hell? We're gonna get kicked out of this place. They're gonna see the. So we cleaned that shit up. There was like, you could see if you looked at it from the right angle, it was kind of shiny where the ketchup used to be on the walls and the ceiling and stuff. But we got it pretty much cleaned up. He got that shit spinning round and round. Couldn't power it down. That shit was ridiculous. So we did that. That's where we lived. I lived with him for, I don't know how long it was. He could probably tell you, but I have no idea. I'm terrible with estimating time. I mean, we lived together until I went to Atlanta. We were there a long time. Well, a few years anyway. So I don't know if I told any of those stories before. I know I told the ketchup story before, but it was ridiculous. It was outrageous. Oh, man, look at that za. So anyway, thought you might enjoy that. I hope you did. And we're at the end of this thing. If you want to get 2 of these episodes a week instead of a measly 1 episode, why would you want just 1? When you can so easily have 2? I don't even understand it. It doesn't make any common sense that you would not want that. All right. If you do want to have 2 a week instead of a measly 1, you can do that by heading over to Patreon. That's Patreon, patreon.com/JeffK. Sign up for a $4 or more monthly donation. I mean, $4 will do it, but you can go for more if you wanna. It's up to you. $4 or more monthly donation, you'll get access to all the bonus episodes, the ones previously recorded. Which there's like, I don't know, 250? No, it's not right. Yeah, 250 probably, somewhere in that neighborhood. And all the new ones as they're released. You get still double down on the Surf Report podcast. Patreon.com/JeffK. That's where you can sign up for it. And also, if you want to call in, tell me a story about your first apartment. How'd that go? I mean, that really wasn't my first apartment, but it was sort of. It was the first apartment complex. Anyway, if you have any stories to tell on your first apartment, did you live like that? Did you eat the Fox Deluxe? Did you have the funked up funked up Tupperware where it was just like it held the stench. Did we throw that stuff away? We might have. I think we might have tossed all that because it was so gut-wrenching. Anyway, do you have any stories to tell on your first apartment? If you do, please share. We weren't the only ones, I hope. Please tell me we weren't the only. Anyway, the number, 570-290-8151. And if you want to check out the web home of the podcast with expanded show notes, links, photographs, support materials, that's possible over at surfreportpod.com. So check that out if you're so inclined. We're at the end of this thing. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, which will be over on the Patreon side, hope you guys have yourselves a fine, fine day. I'll see you. Bye. The beer was cutting into our bills money.